Welcome all to Mitten State Sports Corner. This is another fine episode with Bret with two T's and Bret with one T.
I'm Brett.
Fans, after all these weeks, who is the better Bret?
Me. Everyone says it on Saturdays because whenever someone comes up, we've met a lot of people that come up with their name Brett,
Yeah,
and they always say they spell it with two T's because they spell it the right way.
yeah. But ask yourself this, friends, if you spell your name like everybody else, you don't really stand out that much. So I guess if you want to blend in with the crowd, you can be Bret with two T's. If you want to be a little different, which nobody will argue that I'm that for sure, then you go this route. So
Unfortunately, I do blend in with the crowd just in general because I'm not taller than anyone.
this is true.
So
Yeah,
I'm just
this is
already
true.
already
It's
there.
actually
So
funny when I go to say, "Hey, my partner here," and they go, "Oh, did you pick him up at daycare this morning, or what
yes,
happened?" So it's
you know,
it's intriguing.
I
But
rode down in my car seat too, if you
yeah,
must know.
well, we got to have the 5-point harness, keep you safe.
But do you
That's a
remember that
fact.
old? Remember that old commercial where it's just like if you're under, it was like it was like a correlation with like a Disney movie, and they said if you're under this, you should still be sitting in a booster seat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I yeah, I gotta tell you, it's intriguing. But nevertheless, we got a pretty big episode for you guys here. We're gonna tap into some hockey talk. We're gonna dive into some beer league, which is always fun. The Tigers, the gritty Tigers, as they've been called lately, have
mm-hmm.
made the most improbable of improbable runs in recent baseball history, and they've done
Let's
it with one
go.
starting pitcher.
Let's go.
One starting
Well, the
pitcher.
bullpen's been pitching well
The
too,
bullpen has been the
and
starter.
the bats are alive.
Yes.
They take 2 or 3 of Baltimore after getting shellacked Friday night. They take the two. They take Saturday and Sunday, and you start a series against Tampa tomorrow on Tuesday,
Yes.
and then you end the season with a 3-game set against the White Sox, who probably looking to cash in their 40 games.
Hmm.
It is looking up. Their momentum is so high right now, and you couldn't be more excited as a Tigers fan. And you feel the buzz right now.
Oh,
Definitely.
the boys are definitely buzzing. The boys are buzzing for sure
Mm-hmm.
because at August 4th, this team was 9 games out.
They were under 10 games under 500 at the trade deadline.
They traded Jack Flaherty, who I will tell you has pitched phenomenal ball for the Dodgers. He pitched phenomenal ball for us this year earlier. Chris Fetter fixed Jack Flaherty. That's what happened. I'm telling you, that's what happened. And he's pitched well with the Dodgers, who also has a good pitching organization. But more impressively, the Tigers have gotten better since they traded several players at the deadline. Now, granted, you got rid of a guy like Mark Canha. To me, average replacement level player. Liked what he did, but I mean, he's blocking a position player in the league, minor league. You got rid of Flaherty, right? Which, like I
Sorry,
said,
sorry to cut you off, but obviously I just need Jamar Chase to get one touchdown. He just got it. So
so you're gonna
let's
beat Blake.
go. Yeah, I'm beating my brother in
Eat it,
fantasy.
Blake. Eat it, Blake. Um,
Sorry, it's on in our background.
I
I caught
always
it out of the
love,
corner of my eye.
I love when we get a chance to rag on Blake.
Hold on.
So I'm all about it.
Let's do a quick
Should we,
score check. Quick score check.
let's do it.
Yeah.
How much you beat him by?
Oh, I'm up 4 now.
Yeah, Blake's
And the
gonna
game
win.
just started.
That's
Let's
fantastic.
go. Jamar Chase, finally, you're in the game. Let's go.
What I tell you
Sorry,
before the
back
game
to the Gritty
started,
Tigers.
he's gonna get them all set. The player that they received back for trading Flaherty was Trey Sweeney. Trey Sweeney does not have the highest batting average on the team, but god dang it, he has been clutch. And he's played solid defense. But I think, what's lost in a lot of this run is that the Tigers, again, have gotten better since trading their players. But the biggest reason is they let the kids
The
play.
youth movement, yeah.
The youth
They have
movement.
brought in so much confidence, and you showing like you have that confidence in these young kids to like, hey, take us, let's go, take us to the playoffs, let's ride this momentum, and it's it's just so cool to see that there's so much buzz around Detroit sports now. Because obviously the Lions coming with so much hype this year. Michigan just came off the national championship. The Red Wings are riding a bit of a high. We're going to get to the Red Wings in a bit. Red Wings had a big week.
Yep.
and and then you got the Tigers. Literally,
Just keep winning.
you got people like I've seen it all over Twitter. You got people like it's Sunday, week 3 of NFL, but I'm over here watching the Twins because I'm so invested on this playoff race that the Tigers are in.
Well, and think of this, folks. So Tigers got 6 games left. Okay.
They're so with that tiebreaker, they are currently tied with the Twins, but they are also tied with the Royals as well.
I was just gonna say, so it's not just the Twins that they're chasing; it's also the Royals.
Yeah, they're tied with the Royals now,
They're
and
tied with the
The
Royals.
Royals are going back. They're 2-8 in their last 10,
Correct.
and the Twins are 3-7 as well.
Tigers are 7-3 in their last 10,
Mhm.
but more importantly, they're like what 24-10 in their last 34 games, something crazy like that. Like,
They've been the best team in baseball since the trade deadline.
and who did they sit on the bench to start playing damn good
Our
baseball?
favorite player, Javi Baez.
Sit down, Javi. You don't come back. I hope they release him.
I
I would
I,
rather
I,
pay
I
the man
definitely
to leave than to even keep him on
is
the roster.
LTIR a thing in MLB
It can be.
because they said it was his hip.
He'd probably be a good broadcaster for like, ESPN Latin America.
Have you watched obviously like some of the Tigers games on Bally recently?
Yes.
The Andy Dirks Jason Benetti
It's
combination,
a good
it's
combination.
good. It's really good. Andy Dirks is obviously, remember Andy Dirks from all those late 2000s,
Yeah.
early 2010s Tigers teams.
Yep.
But he's pretty good in the broadcast booth, man.
I think he's a better broadcaster than he was player. And not that he was a bad
Well,
player.
he was just one of those, like, he never had a true position. Wasn't he one of the ones that
He
he played
pitched.
all? Yeah, I think he played all 9 positions.
Yeah, he pitched even a little bit too.
So,
He was good though. He was good clubhouse guy, and you can tell. I mean, that nothing's changed for that. He's just a good all around dude. But yeah, I mean, the Tigers have played really good ball. AJ Hinch is pushing all the right buttons, which is awesome to see. Like we talked about before, the youth movement is definitely on, and they just have recently called up some of their prospects.
Jackson Jobe
Jackson Jobe just got the
going right
call.
into the bullpen.
Right to the bullpen. He had a 6 ERA and 2 starts in Toledo. I'm not really worried about that. The talent's there. That's a big adjustment from A to Triple A. And again, if he comes out and throws a couple innings, to get a taste of the league, that I'm fine with that. He's not going to ruin this team's chance to go in the playoffs. Typically, I mean that's it's not going to happen. But I'm just elated, quite frankly, at just all of the aspects of this team right now. Like, first of all, let's talk about the fact that you went and took both series from the Orioles.
Yeah, one of the best teams in baseball. You go win two of three in 2 weeks.
So let's just for those folks that haven't paid attention, okay, I'm going to run through the last handful of games, okay? The last few, let's call it the last month of games. So they played a series against the Angels. They took 2 of 3. Series against the Red Sox, 2 of 3. They lost the series to the Padres, and one of them was a walk-off win in the 10th inning or some crap like that. So they lost 2 out of 3. They win 2 out of 3 from the Athletics. They win 2 out of 3 from the Rockies. They win 2 out of 3 from the Orioles. They sweep the Royals, and then they just recently won another 2 out of 3 from the Orioles. So, I mean, they've played well above 500. They're only, I say this only, they're 7.5 games back from the division leader, Cleveland, who Cleveland's played.
Cleveland clinched.
Cleveland clinched. Again, they've played better baseball, though, all year. Like,
Mhm.
cumulatively, they played better baseball. They were so far back here at the deadline. It was unbelievable. And I know there was a little bit of talk of trading Skubal. I am so glad they did not decide to trade him.
That it's proven to be obviously the right choice.
Yeah.
Obviously, now looking where we're at,
You'd have had
and
to get
obviously
half the team's
And
organization.
Skubal's obviously just having a Cy Young year, and he's only gotten the better as the year has
Oh.
gone on.
It's almost a guaranteed win.
But yeah, well, let's not go that route.
No, but it's what it feels like, though.
But
The players know that. They play that way.
He's definitely getting like those couple of years whenever Verlander was on the mound, you just knew he was going to pitch a gem,
Yeah.
So he's definitely got that momentum going for himself right now, which is obviously, we haven't seen that as Tiger fans in a while, where you had that one player on the team where you're just like, hell yeah. Like, all right, I got a great feeling. It's probably been since Verlander's been on the team that we've had that,
Well,
especially on the mound.
And hear this. So team leaders in batting average. Riley Green at 262. That's not going to blow you away. Okay, but he plays solid defense. He's a clubhouse leader. The team leading home runs, Riley Green, 24. RBIs, Riley Green, 72.
Mhm.
On base percentage, Riley Green, 351. Hits, Colt Keith. Colt Keith, a rookie.
He's been killing it since he got brought up. The one game I went to, man, I think he hit the game tying home run, or he did. I forgot what he did, but you just hear his name every time they have like some sort of a comeback or they go take the big lead. It's because of a hit or home run that he had.
Well, I'll tell you who I mean, aside from the rookies, right, and the kids, we've talked about, even Torkelson's came up and played really well since he was called up.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of my favorite guys this year, and there's actually 2 of them, Matt Vierling.
Yes.
Matt Vierling has been
You've
phenomenal
heard his name quite a bit,
in
yeah.
his role. And he is not the star of the team, but he's played extremely solid. He's come up clutch when he's needed to. He's played good defense.
Hmm.
He gets on base. He gets on base. That's a huge deal.
You sound like that guy from Moneyball.
I could be the guy from Moneyball
You've seen the movie, right?
100 times.
But they get on base.
It's the facts though.
It's true.
That's what baseball is about. We had too many guys, Javi Baez, that were, home run or nothing. Well,
Well,
that
he
crap's
didn't even do
gone.
that. He wouldn't even hit the ball. His average is so bad.
And I know we've been bad the last few years, but you had to get, and I love Cabrera, Hall of Famer, one of the best Tigers ever.
But you knew with
You
those
knew
last
they were
3
gonna be
years,
tough.
he just didn't. He
Didn't
didn't
have
have a lot
anything.
left in the tank.
You had to get his contract out of there. Javi Baez. You had to get some of these leftover players that just weren't doing anything. And now you've got guys like Vierling, Keith, Green, Wencio Perez has been decent,
Hmm.
Torkelson. You've got Jake Rogers played solid catcher. Zach McKinstry's been a solid utility man. Parker Meadows has had so many clutch plays, namely on defense. It's been amazing.
It's that catch yesterday, dude.
Kerry Carpenter has been raking.
Yeah, Parker Meadows has had a lot of home run stealing catches.
Yeah,
lately.
quite a few. Quite a few, actually. So then, again, you got the Trey Sweeney. You've got Dylan Dingler. Jace Jung just got called up not super long ago.
Okay. That's got to be in the all name MLB team. Dylan Dingler.
You love it. You love to hear it.
That's one thing we should do one day, where we should get a list of like all the unique names of all the sports and just list them of like the most comical down. But
I don't want to change subject too much. I just read. Frank Ragnow suffered a partially torn pec this week. The Lions suffered so many injuries in that game to Arizona.
It was like every 3 plays, like you see someone going off the field, and you're like, oh boy.
And he's one of the toughest players in the league. It says making him week to week a brutal reality for one of the NFL's toughest players, who injured it very early in the game.
Yeah.
Finished the damn game. But the belief is that it's not season ending and he could be back soon. I don't know. I am concerned with the amount of losses that we suffered, and I'm not going to go much more next. We just had an episode on this. I am a little concerned with the amount of losses we've suffered as to how we can sustain. As the Tigers have proved, you don't need a bunch of stars to win, right? Like with the right chemistry, the right belief, the right coaching, which the Lions have, the Tigers have. AJ Hinch got a lot of criticism in the last few years.
Yeah, they were trying to say he wasn't the guy.
But I'll tell you what, he did very well in Houston. The whole, cheating scandal and all that stuff. Opinions are what they are. I won't go into that. How's that? And I'm sure that to some degree there's probably some guilt there, whatever. But at the end of the day, he peaked. He took Houston from a bad team, and coached them up to winning World Series. I'm not saying he wins the World Series with the Tigers, but I tell you what, he's got this team playing better than anybody would have expected. They're on the most improbable run ever, with one starter in the freaking lineup, pitching, and he just pushes the right buttons. Like, there's times he'll send a pitcher out there for 3 batters, right? And that's fine. There's other times where, he may run, and there's times where we're not going to run. Same guy might be on base, right? Like, it's just about game situations. Is it the lefty versus the lefty, the righty versus the lefty versus the righty, whatever the case is? He's been around the league so much. He's pushing the right buttons, and I give him a lot of props for how this team's playing, the belief that they have. You can tell in his after-game press conferences that he truly believes himself. He really does.
So speaking of the Astros, I did see yesterday, if everything's shaped out how it's supposed to, or not necessarily supposed to, or just the way that it's kind of lining up to be, Lions could be looking at the Astros round 1.
It'd be an epic storyline.
That'd be crazy. Playing against Verlander, School against Verlander.
Verlander struggled a little bit. I don't know if he's going to be in their starting rotation.
You can't.
I don't know if I'm telling you, he has not pitched well.
I haven't really, to be honest, I really haven't watched much baseball. But obviously, ever since Tigers have been going on this run, obviously you got to pay attention as a Detroit fan. So, but everything's shaping up to be. So as of today of our recording, which is Monday, September 23rd, they are an off day. They start the 3-game set against the Rays tomorrow. Yeah. They are currently tied with the Royals.
At home.
Yeah, the last 2 series are at home.
Yes.
So,
which is huge.
Yep. And then so you are tied with the Royals, and Minnesota is a full game back. But as we have discussed before, Minnesota does hold that tiebreaker, so you could essentially say that they are even Steven. So as far as the Tigers go, they're in a 3-way tie for the last 2 wild card spots at the very moment.
Honest reaction. Did they make it?
I'm thinking, especially
Bias aside.
if you're looking at the trends of obviously Kansas City hasn't been playing well. They've lost 7 in a row. The Twins, and they're not playing well either. I think they got swept by the Red Sox this past weekend. And obviously the Tigers are been the best team in baseball since August. So it's hard to bet against the Tigers. Obviously, no bias side, and I think anyone would agree with me. It's
Who's
hard.
betting against them right now?
Yeah, it's so hard to bet against the Tigers right now because of just how they're pulling out these wins. They're pulling out gritty wins. They're down 1 to 2 runs going into the 8th, and they end up winning by 2-3 runs.
Yeah, I mean, they've really done well. And again, I wouldn't bet against them at this point. I don't
No.
care who they're playing. You can play Houston. You can play Red Sox. You can play whoever the hell you want. I don't care. I'm picking them to win at this point. And I've been just as much as anybody else, a big critic of how the Tigers have been.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because I don't understand how these cycles go. It's they had a really dominant run for quite a while. They didn't win any titles, but like they played solid ball. They were in the playoffs a lot. They mashed their way in the playoffs every year. And so these things happen when you trade away all your prospects. Your guys get old and they eat all the money up. These cycles happen. They've been bad for 10 years.
I do want to give a shout out actually to the Indians because they have run the AL Central for damn near the last probably like 7 to 8 years.
Yeah.
Aside from a couple years, I think the Twins took it. I think the White Sox had one year.
Surprise! 1 year the Twins got lucky.
But the Indians, man, they have been consistently a good team for a while now.
I thought they were going to drop off when Francona left. I'm going to be totally frank with you. I really expected a slight drop off in philosophy and culture, and all they've done is continue to win. Ramirez has been an absolute stud on that team. I mean, he's been a 30-30 guy every year he's been in the league. It's pretty impressive. But the Tigers got a lot of those guys that aren't necessarily all-stars, but they got a good – they're more of a team that's a sum of its parts than they are, what they are individually. And, I mean, I think the first setup they play against Houston would be a best of 3.
Yes, correct.
And I'm not picking against them.
I mean, obviously, we definitely will cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, I mean, it's just like any other playoffs. You don't want to meet the hot team that has been playing essentially playoff baseball for the last month and a half.
Was it last year the Phillies went on that run where they came in through the wild card and got all the way to the World Series? Was it last year or year before?
You just look at it, it goes with any other sport, like the LA Kings in 2012. Yeah. They went into the NHL playoffs as an 8th seed and ran the damn table.
Yeah, they stomped everybody.
And it's because they came in, they obviously had to play playoff hockey for however long. So they were already in that mindset for us. And then you're getting these teams that they've kind of been able to coast their way in.
Yep.
So you kind of catch them off guard. So, but let's go Tigers. Obviously, the hype is definitely around them, and obviously get everyone to Comerica Park this week. Let's fill it like it is a playoff game.
Boys.
Let's fill it like it's a playoff game. The boys deserve it. They've definitely played their ass off for a while now. Let's show them the love. Let's get back in those playoffs. Let's keep Detroit sports momentum going.
Yeah, and the only team that's behind right now is the Pistons.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, obviously.
They're struggling a little bit.
Not much to report on them. I don't really – it's been a tough stretch for them. So, but a whole new coaching staff this year, so let's see what obviously their training camp hasn't started yet, so but we'll dip into that once that time comes around.
Yeah.
But we do want to dip into someone who did just have a training camp. But before I do that, I just want to say one comment, and this person he does listen in. He's one of my greatest friends. He does listen in every week. I just want to say, Van, are you good? Because I'm good. Van Hendricks, I love you. You know Van. He's the one at our hockey games sometimes. He's always cheering us on. So, but Van's
he is one of our 4 fans. That's for sure. We don't have a lot. We don't play good hockey. So
we're gonna jump right into another Detroit sports team that had training camp this past weekend. But let's jump in because we talked about it last week, and we did say the training camp week is going to bring us some good news, and boy, did it bring us some good news.
God.
We got our part of our cornerstone of our franchise, Lucas Raymond and Moritz Seider, signed to long-term deals.
Well, I was just like yourself getting nervous. Raymond signed a couple days before. Mo signed on Thursday, the day of training camp.
He is currently in Detroit now.
Yeah.
As far as I know. Obviously, he wasn't able to make it up to TC for the for the training camp because of obviously he was in Germany awaiting everything.
Right.
But he did make it to Detroit, and he will be at practice starting tomorrow, is what I read. And
Right.
obviously preseason starts Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I guess you'll maybe see him probably in a few more preseason games than you probably usually would, because obviously he missed training camp. So he needs a little bit more reps.
I don't
Let's
know that
say.
he's
I don't
going to need
know.
that many, though, man. To be
Probably
honest
not,
with you, I think he'll be all right.
but so we'll break down these contracts. And honestly, given the players that they are and the length of the deal, you got a hell of a value out of these two. Because you look at it, how much the salary cap has been expanding every year. Now the NHL is trying to talk into expanding to more teams. So you look at that, and these guys are they're butting into star players here.
Yeah.
So you look at it, and so Raymond signed for 8 years by 8.05, I believe.
Yep.
So that's
Cider 8.5.
so that's an incredible value for the player that he's turning into be. And you look at it down the line as he hopefully, and all signs are pointing to this, that he's getting better every single year.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be an insane value come year 4, year 5 of that deal. You're going to have a bona fide star on your team, and he's only making $8 million when you got stars on every other team and they're making 10 plus a year.
Well, and every team needs a star defenseman. Every team needs a Victor Hedman, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need a Mort Sider. You got to have those guys. Cale Makar. You got to have a solid goalie. Red Wings are still lacking the number one, the true bona fide number one. We talked about that on other episodes. I think they'll be all right. Raymond was probably the most exciting player in hockey the last 2 weeks of the season last year.
Well, when Larkin went down with that injury, and I think it was in March, right?
It was.
When they had that slide.
It was more
Raymond
than a
stepped
slide.
up.
It was a crater.
Yeah.
They sucked.
Good point.
Yeah.
But Raymond stepped up, and obviously he hit his career high in goals, assists, and points. I don't know about Cole. I don't know about goals, but he stepped up. He stepped up to the plate, and he was that guy every single night. Where you need a goal, Lucas Raymond would get it.
He delivered.
Yeah. So, and you got him by an 8x8, damn near. And honestly, did I not call that?
That is something you did say, and I'll tell you that, like you said, that's going to be a real steal in a couple years.
Yeah, I would agree. But so then Sider, 1 year less at 7 by 8.5, which, sure. And I think from what I was reading, that was because that was the only snafu there.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to get the value that he wanted, they had to take the 1 year less. So obviously if he wanted the 8, he wanted it probably more. So, but obviously you got these two locked up. I knew training camp was going to bring some good news. It puts the pressure on everyone at that point, because it's like, hey, dude, the season's here. What the hell are we doing?
Yeah, I was a little upset as a fan, right, for that Stevie didn't get that done earlier, just to avoid the drama.
Beggars can't be choosers, though.
But they can't be. We got it done. Season's not started yet, so we got them. We're in. So, good job on Stevie's part for crossing the finish line and not making this a big training camp drama. Like some other teams would have let this drag into the season and just would have gotten messy. And then even when you do sign them, it's a mess. This team needed these guys here from day one. They need to get the reps in. They need to get the chemistry built, and they need to go on the run to the playoffs. And this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. They're going to make the playoffs this year. I'm predicting it now. They're making the playoffs this year.
Bold play.
And I think not only do they get in the playoffs, I think that they are. I'm going to go with a 4th seed.
Wow, bold play.
Bold play.
Because I forgot who I was talking to about this. But it's like you look at it, they are definitely in the toughest division of hockey. You got to dethrone Boston, you got to dethrone Florida, you got to dethrone Tampa, dethrone Toronto, just to even get in the top
2 of those
three
teams are going to dethrone themselves this year.
You got to get in at least the top 3 of that division, and you got to go through 4 teams that have been dominating the division for years, for recent memory. So you got some work to do, but I definitely do think they have the tools to do it. So because you're going to get a full year of Simon Edmondson in the top 4, as Lalone has already announced, which good, as he should be.
For sure.
You're getting a full year of Patrick Kane, albeit staying healthy, but he stayed healthy in the half a season he played, so it's a good sign. And he produced exactly how you would want him to. So you're getting a full year of Patrick Kane. You're getting a full year of Simon Edmondson, who is a huge upgrade on D. And I would love for anyone to argue that. I would love for anyone to argue that one. But so you're getting you got two key parts on both on your offensive side and defensive side that improves. That is an improvement. It's an upgrade.
Well, yeah, I again, we've talked about this before. I think this team's better than last year's team.
Yes.
Eiserman said it really about as good as you can say it. We expect, with the subtractions and additions, it's pretty much a wash, right? Like that part alone. But you expect better goaltending. They gave up three and a third goals against per game last year. They scored 3.5. You need a better ratio there.
You need to get that below 3.
You need to get that below 3. You need to be still up in the threes with goals for.
Yes.
And typically and if that translates to 3 or 4 more wins, then that's it. I don't care. You're in the seat I just talked about. Like that's how close things get at the end of the year.
I definitely do think Red Wings top 6 offensively wise. So you look at line 1 probably DeBrincat, Larkin, Raymond, and then line 2 Tarasenko, Comfort, Kane. That's a hell of a lot better top 6 than you've had in recent memory.
Yeah, and again, some of this is not, again, not goal scorers like Tarasenko is and Kane is and Brink and stuff, but a lot of these guys are just really good role players. They really are. And again, every playoff team needs one. I mean, Tampa had Palat, they had Ouellette, they had Ty Johnson, right? They had the
Kucherov,
yeah, then you have your
Stamkos.
Kucherovs and you have your Stammers. The guys are going out and hammer you guys a couple goals a game or whatever. But this team feels so much like Tampa just about a year or two before their big entrance on the big stage, right? And so I think we're trending in the right direction. Last year's team had a 23.1% power play clip, but an 80% penalty kill. That is something that I do think they I don't want to say they were bad at. They weren't. They were like league average. But there was just I don't know. They lost some games on the penalty kill, and some
Yeah.
of that's not taking the damn penalty to begin with. Petrie, Sherratt, stop taking stupid penalties in the third period. Like you going up and dumping a guy because you're tired pisses me off as a fan. Get off the ice then. I as a goalie would much rather you go skate off in the defensive zone. Now this sounds ridiculous. I would rather you go skate off in the defensive zone and go get a line change and we play this little game where they outnumber us like it's power play for a second while the other player charges in versus you going up and dumping some guy because your legs are tired. Like, Petrie, I'm sorry if your legs are tired, get off the damn ice. You don't need to be there anyway. Sherratt, get off the damn ice. We don't need you anyway. So I'm just saying there's adjustments that can be made. I am very elated to hear Edmondson's going to be playing in the top 4 role this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think he deserves that. I've said that before. If you're not going to play him, you got to trade him. So I'm really excited to see what he can do this year. And then obviously with some of the other additions and stuff, this team is built. This team's young. They don't have a ton of big contracts. They've got a couple now, obviously, but they're set up for the future. And who knows what they do with the trade deadline, even, right? Like they might get somebody that's gonna surprise you.
Given the cap space they have, they're definitely have to move something to make that work.
They will.
But obviously, Eisman, he's proven that he can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you look at that third pairing's looking like obviously Eric Gustafson, a signing this past summer, who is essentially taking Gostisbehere's role.
Mm-hmm.
From what I was reading, he definitely looked very, very well in training camp, and that so they had a PP unit running where Gustafson, DeBrincat, and Kane were together, and obviously they all played together in Chicago, and there's showing that their old like chemistry of when they were in Chicago on that PP unit.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed you a video on Saturday of just it looked like their PP unit was more mobile. They weren't sitting more stagnant. They had guys literally moving all over the ice. And that was one thing you and I would talk about a lot last year. It's just like it was crazy how the power play would work sometimes when all they're doing is just standing there, but they're just moving the puck around.
Yeah.
But now if you can actually have guys move and move around with the puck and then move the puck, it's going to make it a lot harder on these penalty killers to stop it. Definitely do think your power play unit should increase, obviously, because the power play one last year was great. It was great. It produced, but that second power play unit obviously always wasn't really the best. But now you added some more pieces this year that I think makes the second unit just as dangerous as the first unit.
And a lot of it depends on health.
Yes.
Obviously, if your health is good, everybody has these best laid plans at the beginning of the season, and then injuries happen. Look at the Lions, like we just talked about.
Yeah.
Like the Lions are, I don't know, it's scary. But like on paper, I think this team's good for a couple more wins. And again, a
Oh
couple more
yeah.
wins puts them in a pretty good spot in the playoffs. I think Boston drops out, or I'm sorry, Tampa drops out of the playoffs. I think maybe they sneak in as a wild card team this year. And I know it's a little bold. They've been pretty good for a lot of years. No Allmark,
Yeah.
he's
So they
gone.
don't have the 1-2
They
punch and
don't
goal
have the
in that
backup
anymore.
goaltender that I'm telling you right now, that is not given enough credit. That goaltending tandem has backpacked them at times when the offense didn't play. And every team's offense goes through a slump, and that's when your backstop needs to be good. And they've had two of them. So when, Swayman maybe had a rough game or two, Allmark would come in and vice versa. And those guys both played at all-star levels, in my opinion. And then you trade one of them.
Hmm.
And then you still don't have Swayman signed. And Swayman has now
Yeah.
said,
Swayman has
I'm
not
not
signed yet.
reporting until you sign me. Like, boy, they messed that one up big
Well, I
time.
mean, why
So,
would you report if you haven't signed yet?
no, absolutely. He's got all the leverage now. They traded the backup.
Hmm.
So, but I think Boston at best gets in the wild card. I think Tampa drops out. I don't think Tampa makes playoffs this year. I know that's a bold prediction, but I don't think they make it. They've
Oh,
been on this slight downhill trend for a while. Now that
Los
Stammer's gone,
Stamkos. Yeah.
that leadership is gone. Kucherov's good. I don't think he's a leader. I personally don't. I don't know anything about him other than what you see on the ice. But you can usually you can see who the leaders are typically, and I think he's a producer but not a leader. And so I think they drop off. I think Ottawa is going to give us a little bit of flair. I don't know if they make it yet. They're like us, but a few years ago. Anaheim's the same way, and they're on the other conference. But
I
like,
would say they don't
but
really
I'm just
matter.
saying, in general, like those types of
Hmm.
teams, are just like us a couple years ago. So I think the Red Wings got a good shot as long as they handle their own damn business.
Yeah. I do think actually, given the roster itself has improved, but I definitely do think the what could make or break what the season can do is in net. I definitely do think they improve their goalie tandem a little bit by bringing in Cam Talbot,
Sure.
and they did say they are going to run the three goalies, so Lyon, Husso, Cam, Talbot. So I definitely do like Talbot as essentially the 1A role, and then Lyon is the 1B role because I think Lyon definitely set himself as like, hey, I should be in uniform every night. I'm not. You don't put me in the press box. Put me in uniform every night. So I definitely do think it's at the point where they'll definitely give Husso his looks if he's healthy. They'll definitely give him his looks, but it's definitely going to be. I definitely think it's definitely going to be more Husso up in the press box as this healthy scratch.
Yeah, I think Huso is going to be a guy that's going to come in like December. Truthfully, I know he's been practiced. I don't know. I think Yzerman, as close to the vest as he is, I think his transactions recently have shown that he no longer believes in Huso as a
Oh
starter.
yeah,
Obviously,
agreed.
I don't know that Jack Campbell plays a ton. Obviously, and he's not
He's
saying
only coming up if like
somebody's hurt.
two of the three
Right,
go down with an injury.
but it was
But
still an
at
intriguing signing for
but
Grand
at the same
Rapids.
time, I would much rather Kosa come up because you look
Yeah.
at these goalie contracts. Lions, he's in his last year. Husso's in his last year.
Yep.
Talbot's on a 2-year deal.
Which
So
they can get out of it
you're
after
definitely
one.
opening up the door for Kosa to take the reins
Yeah.
either next
I'd love
season.
him to.
So I would definitely I would prefer to see if you're gonna get a call up, bring up Kosa and even throw him in the net. Give him a chance. Give him the rep.
Uh,
Why the hell not?
that's kind of my thought. Is like,
Like the Tigers this year, they've brought in the youth movement. They let them play, let them show what they can do,
yeah,
and look what's happening.
it's worked
Not
out good.
obviously, it's not all always going to work that way, but you don't know if you don't try.
Well, you're gonna live and die by the sword, right? And so you're gonna, as much as you appreciate the youth movement, and and the gains that you make and the energy, you also deal with the growing pains of having young players, and they make rookie mistakes or rookie
Yes.
type mistakes. So you know, I I'm okay with living with those. I think you got to take your swings when you have them. I think the
Hmm.
team is built now to compete for the playoffs and contend in the playoffs. I don't think they're a Stanley Cup team this year.
No, they're definitely not,
I'm
they're
not
not there
saying that I
yet.
would be upset if they won the cup this year, obviously, but like I don't think they're quite there this year. I think 26 is probably the target to really compete for a cup. I don't know. Anything can happen.
So one thing I also did read
Yep.
as far as like training camp goes, it was just a simple comment of saying like Nate Danielson's going to make it very tough on this management,
Hmm.
and to say I wasn't surprised by that comment, like I really wasn't, considering you saw what he did just last year as like fresh off the draft. He comes in the preseason and he looks like he belongs. Albeit it was preseason, he's not playing against all NHLers, but you go straight from juniors to playing at least AHLers and NHLers,
Hmm.
and you look like you belong.
Yeah.
So he had another year of junior, and he did go to Grand Rapids to end the
Hmm.
year. So it's looking like obviously he's going to start in Grand Rapids.
Casper has had a good run
So,
here.
but you look at it, you definitely got some arsenal here for a first call up where you got Marco Kasser, you got
Yeah.
Nate Danielson, you got Albert Johansson.
Lombardi.
He's played well. You got Carter Mazer who looked good in training camp too.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you got something rolling
You
here
got
that
depth.
definitely could work,
And,
but just give them the chance.
yeah, and that's just it.
And that was one thing I was discussing with someone last night about it is if you do bring up these guys, please do not stuff them on the fourth line because that is not the type of player they are, and that's not
No.
where you're going to put them. You put them there, that's not where they're going to succeed because that's not the type. They're not that grinding style. They're out there to get you points, and that's why you draft them in the first round.
So, like, the way I always look at it, and I understand it's not always this easy, right? But if a guy like Kane goes down, right? First, second line, depending on who you are and what the situation is, why is the replacement on the fourth line? Well, there's a lot of reasons for that, right? Sometimes you've just got too much depth, and some of your better guys get bled down the lineup. That happens. I can understand everybody moving up, right? Nobody's taking that away.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, somebody like Casper, somebody like Missouri, somebody like Lombardi, they're goal scorers, right? That's what they do. So to put him on the fourth line is ridiculous. Go put him on the line that the injured player just came off of, and I bet you they do pretty darn well with Dylan Larkin. I bet he does pretty darn well with Lucas Raymond. I bet he does pretty darn well with DeBrincat. So, you might find those guys that, man, they went out and scored 20 goals this year while this guy was out with a 3-4 month injury. And all of a sudden, if the absolute worst thing that happens is that your Patrick Kane comes back or whatever, whoever did, I just use him as an example. If the absolute worst thing that happens is he comes back, takes that guy's spot back, and he goes back to the minors, that's a pretty good audition to get somebody big at the trade deadline, right? And I'm not saying you want to trade all these guys, but it's inevitable. Not all these guys are going to make the team. They're just not. There's not enough room for them all, but they're going to be trade pieces to get guys down the road. And so you still want to see them have those games, those weeks, those months that can help us with that because it's all about the team going forward.
They definitely do have the depth. They have the future ahead of them. I mean, they've been ranked in the top 5 as far as future goes for
Yeah.
the last few years now. So, and now it's time for some of these guys to start getting their looks. So here we go. Let's go. I definitely do think, obviously, the Red Wings are in a great spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, they're not Stanley Cup contenders, but they're definitely playoff contenders, as shown last year. And they did that, albeit with a terrible December and terrible in March.
Horrific March.
They were still right there to literally the last second of the very last game.
They go 500 in March, and they're in the third seed, fourth seed.
Yes,
That's
correct.
just facts.
Because
they were
I think they were in top 3, or at least they were in the top wild card. I think through February. I think something like that.
Yeah, they were there. I mean, they were right in the thick of things, and like it was like Boston, Detroit, Tampa, all right there, and like I mean, all these teams were within a couple points, and then they just didn't win for the whole month of March.
Yeah.
It was terrible. We were talking about it a lot, and it's like, God, at this point, what team are they going to beat?
Yeah.
Like it was just getting to that point. So I think they're in a really good spot. Stevie knows what he's doing. I trust the guys are playing.
I just love the fact that there's actually differences now. Like your top 6 is definitely it's your top 6 now. It's not a mishmash of like, well, Andrew Kopp's got to play in the top 6 now. No, Andrew Kopp he's a line 3 guy, line 4 guy. He's not a top 6 guy.
Which we
so
saw
now
him
you
at
now
the
you
big
guys
house.
are getting
He's a big boy.
You're getting these guys that you're going to put them in the roles that they are best at. So you finally got that depth where you can do that.
Yeah, and I think that's just something that people need to realize that you have to take the lumps of a new organization, or I'm sorry, an organizational change, new leadership. Eisman, as we talked about plenty of times before, had nothing to work with, had a lot of bad contracts, takes some time to work it out. But you're now seeing the fruits of him being in charge for several years. And I mean, this is the beginning of it. I am uber excited to see where it ends up.
Oh yeah. Obviously it's a great time of year. Football's back around. NHL is now starting up to where we got something to watch on TV every single night.
Yes.
So it's very, very exciting. I guess we could just jump into just overall NHL in general. So obviously you think Tampa's falling out, which I would agree. If any one of those top 4 teams in the Atlantic is going to take a step back, it would definitely be them.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely would agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't see Florida or Toronto coming out of the top 3 whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I do think if there is a team that does drop out, obviously Tampa was a wild card team, so they did drop out last year. So, and
Well, I don't think
I've
Washington
definitely
makes the playoffs.
no. Whoa, hold
I don't
on,
think they make the playoffs.
dude. They had a pretty decent offseason.
That's fine.
They had a pretty decent
That's
offseason. They
fine.
added some pretty key pieces there.
Yeah, but they made the playoffs last year with a negative 37 goal
Well,
differential.
they went and got a better goalie. They did get a couple good defensemen. They added to their offense a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Washington is there again because they definitely had a good offseason. Ovechkin started to play better towards the end of the year. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them at the end of the year
I would be.
that they're kind of up there.
I'd be surprised.
I definitely do see Pittsburgh kind of being like they were last year where
In the hunt.
they tailor off towards the end. Like they're still there, but they
Yeah.
tailor off.
Right. They were in.
But the Metro, it's still going to be the Rangers. It's going to be the Hurricanes. You definitely think the Devils will probably. It was just a 1-year fluke because they have a good enough roster to obviously be there. I think the Devils will come back and be better this year. So then that leaves your stragglers of my thought the wild card out of the Metro would be Washington. That's my thought because you look at the rest of the Metro, you got Philly, and Pittsburgh. I mean, Crosby just signed another extension, but he's still Crosby. But like they don't really have too much around him too much anymore. So, and their goaltending situation isn't the best either. And then Columbus, it's going to be a very hard season for Columbus for a few reasons.
Yeah, but I want to shout out to them for a second.
Yeah.
Props to the Columbus organization for paying Gaudreau's contract out.
So they are doing that.
Yes.
Cool.
I think that is one of the classiest things that any organization could do in wake of the absolute utter tragedy that was the Gaudreau death, him and his brother Matthew. I mean, it's just awful. I don't care if you're a hockey fan or not. It's awful.
Another cool like hockey is awesome piece. I don't know if you saw it, but John Tortorella, head coach of Philly, he invited Gaudreau's dad out to practice today and had him skate out and be part of everything. And in the press conference, he was just like, "Well, yeah, a hockey world's around him. We just want to know he has everyone's support." And obviously, Tortorella is known as a hard ass, but at the same time, he's
a player's coach.
He does these things that he is one of the good guys of the NHL.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see that he did that today, and he definitely said he's just like and it's gonna happen more often. So that was something really cool to see.
Yeah, I think that hockey stands together is just a phenomenal way to put it because they do. And again, you hope these things never happen. Obviously, I mean it's one of the worst possible things that could happen. But to see how the league came together, most of the fans are not Calgary or Columbus fans, right? They're Gaudreau fans, they're hockey fans,
Yes.
and that's just really awesome to see. I mean, between the sticks out on the front porch, the small tributes to, fans from around the country, around the world, showing up to the Saddle Dome, and and laying flowers and cards and gifts and things of that nature, to the amount of outpouring support that his wife has gotten. And God forbid they're expecting another child. It's just awful. I'm just really, 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 really impressed with the Columbus organization for paying that contract out because they don't have to. They don't. They do not have to. He's not on the team, right? Like that's the facts.
Columbus also essentially took like the man-made memorial that they did outside with the sticks out and everything, and they actually put it inside the arena, and they kind of like kept it going in a way.
I love it.
Which is very cool. I've been to Nationwide.
Okay.
It's a very nice arena, so it was really cool on them.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And again, props to you guys because you didn't have to. There's a lot of teams that probably wouldn't have, and it doesn't mean they're bad, right? It doesn't mean they're awful. It's just business. But I'm so elated to see that at least for this year, right? They could change their mind, but at least for this year, they're going to pay that contract out and give that family what they deserve, right? Like
I think Calgary's doing something very similar because obviously Calgary
excellent.
had a big memorial outside their arena as well. I think they're doing something similar with everything that was put out there. I think they're going to do something inside the rink as well, is what I was reading. which as they should.
Yeah, I just love to see it. It's good to see sports fans, hockey fans, everybody come together at once. So really, really, I mean, just really classy and well done. But I know that we're getting towards the end of this one here, so
Our beer league seasons, though, hockey's back around. Our beer league season
yeah,
starts this week.
it does. And
A few new pieces to the team.
yeah,
But obviously some good additions,
hmm
and obviously we should get our schedule here soon. But yeah, so beer league hockey is back. So we'll have a little bit of some tidbits to jump on once our season starts. We could talk about it when we come on the episodes here. But
we need some of our teammates to show up. They're being sissies.
it's just like Sunday nights. They just don't want to show up.
Yeah,
So
shocker. Let me ask yourself this: 2 questions, over/under questions.
what's up?
Over/under: Bret gives up less than 5 goals in game 1.
Over. I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Over/under: I break 5 sticks this season.
God, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
It's probably
I'll go the under, but I'll say 3.
3.
I'll say 1, like
That's a
from
big
natural,
change. I
like
went
just
through
natural
9
stuff
last year.
happening.
Went through 9 sticks last
Did
year.
you really?
Yeah, but I also play more than just our team, though. You got to think that's
I
triple the
was
games.
talking just our team.
That's fair. Okay, I should clarify that.
Yeah.
So for our team alone, you're going 3.
Yeah, I would say 1 from just
That's like
natural
1
causes.
every 8 games.
Yeah, I would say just 1 just from just natural causes of just like it got tied up and just
Had a heart attack,
Yeah.
you're saying, or a stroke.
yeah, and
I
then
gotcha.
yeah, and then 2 over the crossbar.
That could happen.
Or
That has happened in the past.
oh, I've seen it. I've seen Blake do it too.
Well, I do it because of Blake. I'm gonna blame Blake just because I have to. No, I'm actually a psycho in that. That's just the facts.
So-
Most goalies are.
Over under players show up to the first game. So we have 15 on the roster. We've already got 2 committed out.
Are you asking how many I expect to be there?
Yeah, we already have 2.
9.
We already have 2 out. Me being one of them. I'll be there, but I can't play.
Yeah, I go 9. Week 1, right out of the gate. I think we go 9.
No.
I'm not saying I'm happy about it. I'm saying that's what I expect.
The time of the game is obviously a kicker. We don't know it yet.
Pending.
So
My Wednesday night game this week is at 11:30.
I did in the league email that gets sent out. They said that is a possibility.
Possibility. We don't have any games before 9:30 on Wednesdays.
Well, that's different. Well, it's different because Wednesday is full of obviously a lot of youth hockey
It's
and
full
such.
of garbage.
Yeah, and Sundays is mainly in the mornings is youth and some public stuff, but come afternoon it's jumps into adult hockey. So, but yeah, I'll take I'll set the over under at 10. I'll take on the number at 10.
Okay. Well, you're team mom, so you ought to have a slight amount of insight to that.
Well, the only insight I have is that we already got 2 that won't be there.
Do we have a vice president here?
Yeah, it's Hagenboo.
So in the event that you can't seem to get a consistent amount of players there, are we able to vote him in, or do we need to
It has nothing to
overthrow
do
you
with it.
first and then bring him in, or how does that process
You
work
know
out?
damn well if people don't show up, that's not on me.
It can be though. Like I told you, Blake used to ask a lot nicer.
That's a lie. And
It's not. No, it's not. Blake would say, "Hey guys, game at 6:30. Who's going to be there?" And Brett's like, "Better get your ass to work."
That
It's like you're.
I'm gonna start saying that now because that's so untrue. But I'll put that out there.
Just giving you crap.
Yeah, put the
That's
fear,
my bike.
put the fear in people.
Debo.
It's just like if you don't show up, I'm not gonna like you. And and that's not
I'm
common for
okay
me.
with you not liking me. So does that mean I get to skip games then?
No, you're the goalie. You can't. No.
But if that's all that happens that you don't like me, I'm not actually that upset. That's pretty much where we're at now. So
If I didn't like you, I wouldn't be here. Put it that way.
that's true, to a little bit of a degree. So, anyways, yeah, I think I'm hoping we get 10 fans for our playoff game this year in the stands. 10.
We usually do pretty well.
We have hit or miss fan attendance. We're
That
not a
one-
very big product to watch.
Well, we had that one game where it almost looked...
And the whole fire department there.
Yeah, there's that, and then a few other people showed up, and the other team had quite a few people showed up too. That was fun.
Felt like a U of M Flint game.
Well, that one championship game we played in, there was a ton of
it was
people
rowdy.
there.
You could hear the crowd from outside the stadium. It was,
It was
pretty wild.
awesome.
Yeah, it was the best one we played in a long time, and when we laid Nick.
No, we won that.
Yeah, I mean we won, but like I don't know. We could have gave them more. We gave them a cup, I guess. What more can you ask for? But all right, I'm going to leave you with one prediction to make, and then we'll sign off. Okay. So as we talked about, the Red Wings are going to jump. My prediction was they're going to jump into the 4th seed in the conference.
So you're giving them a wild card spot.
I'm giving them a wild card spot, but
Okay.
the top wild card spot. Okay.
All right. So you're going that. Okay.
Yep. But I would like to hear the other wild card spots. What teams do you put in the wild card this season?
Do you want me to give you like the predictions of the teams that will be like in the wild card hunt, or the ones
I
that will
want the
actually
ones that
take it?
finish the season in the wild card spots. All of them. You could put, list Detroit and the others.
I definitely do think Detroit's going to take one of them.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to be the top one or the other one.
Okay.
But I definitely do think Detroit takes one of them. And I do got to give one to a Metro team, a team from the Metro. Albeit like
Who's the Metro team? You can't go that vague.
obviously you think Penguins maybe. You think I definitely do think the Capitals will be there.
This is your
fighting.
question, not mine.
Yeah, I definitely do think the Capitals could be there fighting.
Right.
But now you think about it a little bit more. I think it's going to be a crop of about 5 teams fighting for those 2 spots.
Mhm.
Obviously, Red Wings will be one of them.
Islanders,
Caps, and
Penguins.
depending how the rest of the Metro, maybe the Devils are in there, or the Devils are in the top 3.
Yeah, they got Mercer out for 3 months.
So who? Hold on, let me look this up. Who was the top 3 in the Metro last year? Hold on.
New York, Carolina, and Islanders.
The Islanders did get it. That's right.
But remember, they snuck in just like we did. They went on a surge late in the year, and that was kind of part of the problem. Is we were fighting with Washington,
and the Islanders.
And the Islanders snuck into that 3rd spot.
Yeah, they did. I forgot about that. You're absolutely right.
And what's ironic is, if I'm not mistaken, I feel that our little downturn in March started with a loss to the Islanders. I don't know that for sure.
There was that game where we were up in the 3rd and we gave up 2 quick ones.
It sucked.
I do remember that game, yes. So look at the Metro. So I definitely do think the top 3 with the Rangers, Hurricanes, and hopefully the Devils.
Looky there. Look at that. It was the 29th of February. So the last game in February, lost the Islanders. They went on to lose how many in a row? 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 in a row. They won 1, lost 1, 2, and then lost 4 more. And just went right through March with lose. So they won a total of 3 games in March.
Yeah. Yep.
They sucked.
So I definitely do think like those crop of teams that will be fighting for those wild card spots will probably be the Islanders and Capitals, Red Wings, and the Lightning.
Yeah. That's fair.
Because I definitely do see the Devils actually getting back into that top 3 like they did that one year.
Okay. Bold prediction. Well, thanks again, guys, for joining us on this week's episode of Mitten State Sports Corner. I am Brett with 1 T.
Brett with 2 T's. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Let's go Tigers. Let's go Red Wings.
Gritty Tigers. Let's get her done.
Let's go.